Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/Tales from Retail. Turns out, expiration dates can be important, or how I met the hazmat crew. From a long time ago, when I first started working auto parts. A customer came in looking for carburetor dip. For those that don't know, this is a can of extremely strong solvents made for dropping a whole carburetor into. It will strip enamel, grease, carbon. It's usually sold in 1-gallon sizes, looks like a can of paint. It's also sold in 5-gallon containers, but nobody ever gets that. This guy wants a 5-gallon. I look it up and it says we have one in stock. I've never seen it that I can think of. I head to the back and start searching. The back of the store has the wholesale counter, and that's where I found it. Literally buried in bags of oil absorbent with a lot of dust. I got everything out from in front of and on top of it, and luckily they have a metal ring on the top to grab it by. I grab the can and slide it toward me and then hoist it up. The can tore apart like wet toilet paper. This stuff gushed everywhere. Luckily, it just got my shoes. I'm holding the top of the container in my hand, staring at the massively spreading mess. Guys at the wholesale desk are freaking out, then the floor starts smoking. The fumes were extremely choking. We all rushed to open all the doors and rushed everyone out of the store. Called 911 because those fumes were extremely harsh. They sent in hazardous materials crew. From the time of the spill to their arrival was maybe 30 minutes. Took about 3.5 hours before we were cleared to enter the store. Lots of ruined products around the spill, but the floor was the worst. It ate the floor. There was a distinct crater where the tile was gone. One of the hazmat guys showed me the can, which was over 3 years past its expiration date. Turns out the expiration date is for the can, not the chemicals. Yikes! Oh my gosh, okay, so you know how they have those signs where they show you like the drop of chemical goes through something like, I don't know, the counter, and then that also means that that drop of chemical will go through your hand? That's scary. It ate the floor. Imagine if it touched your skin by accident. I'm so glad that it only got on your shoes. Like, that's terrifying. Also interesting, the idea of the expiration date actually being for the can and not for the chemicals inside. I wouldn't, really think of that because mostly when you're working with expiration dates, it's the other way around. That's interesting and terrifying. I'm glad you're okay. So, I work in a large DIY store here in Ireland, and today a woman beckoned me over and asked me to help her find the paint she wanted. Hi, I'm looking for paint that I bought here last week. No problem. What paint was it? I don't know, but I bought it here last week. I'm slightly puzzled. Okay, do you know which brand it is? No. Do you know what color it is? At this point, she's getting visibly angry. No, I don't. Look, I'm sorry, but I can't help you if you don't know what you want. Could I speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about, please? I'm delighted this woman was going to stop annoying me and become someone else's problem. No problem, I'll find the supervisor of the paint section and he might be able to find what you're looking for. So I go over and get the paint supervisor and explain to him that there's a woman who doesn't know what she wants, but she's looking for someone who's more educated in the ways of finding paint based on absolutely zero information. He walked over to the woman and began to talk to her, and I could see that she was becoming more and more irate as she was asked simple questions, and eventually she just stormed out of the store, severely unsatisfied with the fact that we did not know what paint she bought last week based on the minimum information she provided us. Edit. There are people in the comments suggesting that I could have taken her name and pulled up her previous transaction to find what she was looking for, but unfortunately for this woman, we do not have customer accounts, nor do we store people's transactions. You gotta love how this person legitimately unbelievable. Like, yes, ma'am, let's go in the back real quick. We're gonna pull up the tapes from last week in the paint aisle and try to figure out what paint you pulled off of the shelf. Like, what? You don't know even remotely what color it is? Like, you couldn't be like, oh, it's like a reddish brown or like a pinky color. Like, what color? How do you not even know even remotely what color it was? Like, at least give them some sort of information. Like, I bought paint last week. Okay. Now, this next story was sent in to the email by someone named Patrick. So thank you, Patrick, for sending this in. Good morning, Kay. Here is a tale from retail from many years ago. The tale of the llama driver. Back in the late 90s, I worked for a large retailer as a cart pusher. During a particularly hot summer day, our door greeter stopped me to address an issue an elderly lady had in the parking lot. Players for this are as follows. OL is old lady, G is greeter, M is me, S is sister, and P is police officer. Can you help this woman? She has a serious problem. What's the problem? I think someone took my car by accident. My remote opened someone else's car, but it won't start. Well, that's odd. What kind of car do you drive? A white llama. A llama? Yes, I put my groceries in the car and my sister is waiting in the car. At this point, I tell her we should not leave her nearly 90-year-old sister sitting in a hot car, and we go out to the lot to retrieve her sister and groceries. At this point, I realize her llama is a Chevy Lumina. We go back inside and call the Sterling Police Department to report a stolen car because, let's be real, how often does someone accidentally take a car? After calling the police, we walk back out to the parking lot. While standing there, the old lady sees more white cars in the lot. What is that white car over there? It's a Camaro. Oh, that's not mine. What's next to it? A Lumina. We confirm that it is, in fact, her car. She then loads her stuff into the car. As she is finishing, I see SPD pull into the parking lot. The police are here. Meet me up at the front door so we can let them know your car isn't stolen. Okay, I'll drive up there. I walk up to the store and meet with the officer. Did someone call about a stolen vehicle? Yes, but the woman found the car. Okay, where is she so I can close this out? I watch her drive right past us and out of the lot. That was her. The police officer decides to follow her. I don't know how the report ever ended. To this day, I still chuckle to myself from time to time about the little old lady who drove a llama and thought someone took it by mistake. A llama. That's so cute. I love how she was like, see ya. She finally gets into her llama and goes off. Oh my god. It makes me wonder, no offense, but I kind of wonder if this lady should be driving though. If she, like, I get like making the mistake of like the same car, and it's kind of weird that the car would open, you know, if it wasn't yours. But then she's like asking like what all the white cars are, and then being like, oh, I guess this that other Lumina or that other llama's mine, and then just getting in and then be like, oh yeah, I'll meet you at the front, and then just leaving. It's like, see ya. It concerns me. I hope that the sister was okay sitting in the hot car. I imagine it probably wasn't too long. I'm also thinking perhaps if the police officer followed her, he probably just like pulled her over and got her information about the thing if he couldn't close it out. Jailed over a pickle. When I worked at a grocery store near me, I was the one that would work the register later in the evening. Being that it wasn't a large chain store, there was only 3 people in at the time. Well, one night I was at the register and only one customer in the store. They didn't like the selection of some random food. I think it was rice. Well, they were getting really mad at me because I was the one there in front of them. It comes to the point where they threw a pickle at me. We sell those bagged pickles up by the registers, and hit me in the cheek. I was so ticked, but my manager saw it and came out to help. My manager was actually backing me up for once and is very upset with the customer. Manager asks me to go call the police since we have them on camera doing it. But before I step out to call, an off-duty cop comes in and sees the customer with my manager. The off-duty officer asks me if everything is okay. I told her no, the customer my manager was at this point screaming at had assaulted me, and we had it on camera. She told me not to worry, and she called one of her coworkers, and he was there lickety-split. Since I was the one attacked, they asked if I wanted to press charges. I told them, heck yeah, I do. I actually ended up going to court for it too. The case didn't go too far because it was cut and dry that they did it. So they went to jail over a pickle. What you in here for? Doing time because I robbed a bank. What are you here for? I threw a pickle at someone. I don't even know, like, I don't know the qualifications for being in jail versus prison, but can you imagine that's your story? That's your story. You threw a pickle. You threw a pickle. Oh, man. That's amazing. Customer made my brain leak from my ears. This is an encounter I had with a customer when I was working at a significantly large retail chain founded in Arkansas. This was years ago, around the time that flat screen TVs were gaining popularity, but tube TVs were still a thing, to tell you how long ago it was. The TV thing is relevant. So anyway, I used to work at a retail store doing all sorts of stuff. Inventory, collecting carts, carryouts for customers, etc. One day, I did a carryout of a 30-ish inch tube TV for a customer, loaded it up in the wagon, and brought it to the curb for them to pull up, and I'd help them load it into the car. Now, this was a big, awkward box, and wouldn't fit into the door of the sedan the customer pulled up in. It wouldn't even fit in the trunk of the car, or at least the trunk wouldn't close. There was a way that it could fit in the car without the issue of having to tie down the trunk lid. I offered to do something that we weren't supposed to do without asking, but if the customer was okay with it, go right ahead. I told him that I could remove the TV from the box, then it would fit in the back seat, then I'd collapse the box, fold it up, and load that stuff if he wanted it, into the truck. He said we couldn't do that. When I asked why not, he replied that all the seats were taken in the car. And sure enough, his family, who I hadn't noticed before, were all there. 5 people in total, 5 seats. As I contemplated how I'd angle it into the trunk and began to cut some twine down to tie the lid, he asked the following. This is a direct quote, by the way. I have unfortunately committed to memory. Why y'all sell TVs too big to fit in people's cars? Well, my mind popped, and I don't remember loading it into the trunk and tying it closed, but I must have because he was soon gone, having shattered my hopes for humanity. I am, however, willing to admit that maybe he was trying to joke around, but it didn't feel like a joke. Still, that thought is the only thing that gives me hope sometimes. That he was just being funny, especially since he'd already bred. I'm sorry, he probably was just asking a stupid question. But, I mean, yeah, he was just trying to be funny. No, he probably wasn't. We're actually gonna end on that note. And thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, these stories are linked in the description box, and if you want to send me something to possibly be included in a video, you can send that to ksanonymous@gmail.com. Real quick on the screen, I'd like to thank my patrons. I have my face palmers and my crazy K's. Thank you all so much for supporting me in that way. If you want to become a patron, you can if you want to. You don't have to, you know, don't feel pressured. But if you want to check it out, you can. It's in the description and on the end screen. And I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!